we are back working on the C10. We have just a little bit of time, so we're going to get the carpet ripped out of the cab, see what the floors actually look like. We're going to get the wheels and tires off because I have some spare ones to put on there to make it roll. And then any other time, I have a starter and some other parts that need to go on it. The solenoid's bad in the starter, so just decided to replace the whole thing. We have the starter solenoid bad, the high beam switch and the floor is bad, so we're going to replace all those and see if some of the little small electrical gremlins go away. We got some other parts coming in to hopefully get this thing running, but they won't be until later in the week. So we're going to try to get some other stuff done. There's some rain coming in tomorrow, so we're going to try to get a few things done because tomorrow probably nothing's going to happen with as much rain they say as we're going to get. So let's get into it. We got the high beam switch swapped out. This one wasn't wanting it to work correctly, and it's got a lot of stuff bowled out of it right there, so it's probably just corroded and got hot. It's cheap enough, easy replacement. That took 2 seconds. So now we're moving on to the wheels and tires, getting those off. Fronts are off, and we do have disc brakes, as I thought we would on this truck with it being power steering, power brakes. They don't look bad. Obviously they need replacing or turning, and new bearings installed. Suspension seen better days, but this should all clean up. We're gonna see what she'll do. I don't know the system of the brake system. I don't know essentially I don't know what it looks like under there. It might be it need everything replacing. It may just need these rubber lines replacing and then flush. So we'll see. But anyways, those are off. We still gotta get the backs off. And these tires are down here are the ones that are going on it, as I showed you in part 1. So those will make it a roller again. So if we do get it running, well, when we do get it running, it will be able to safely run. Those tires were popped. So got these at the swap meet for a good deal. So we'll get these installed probably tomorrow on the wheels and tires and get those put on. The back 2 wheels are stuck on, so I'm gonna have to hit them a little harder with a hammer later. I'm fixing to lose daylight. We got the front 2 off. We can at least get those mounted, and then we're gonna get the starter changed. We already did the high beam indicator or high beam switch. I raised it up. When I was hitting that back wheel, these fell off. And for context, that's my fist next to them. So I don't know if y'all know what these are, but that is a dirt dauber's nest, and that is a massive dirt dauber's nest. For those that don't know, they have their little eggs in here, and then they hatch and then wreck everything and get everything plugged up. So those have already been hatched and they're pretty much dead. But anyways, just thought that was interesting. I think I covered that in the first video. I could see them from the top side but not the bottom. So let's get this starter switched out. Well, found the source of my ignition woes. That is the whole stud turning on the starter solenoid. So yeah, that's cooked. There was also the yellow wire was broken loose. So yeah, there's several problems with this starter, and I'm hoping that fixes my ignition issues, because that one of these sends a signal up to the distributor. I can't remember which one it is. I think it's the yellow one. But anyway, that most likely is going to be my issue. So I gotta get this off without damaging it, and then fix that end that's broken loose, and then put the new starter in. So we'll get that done and get it all fixed up, and hopefully no more starter hang or any of this crap. All right, we are losing daylight, but as usual, we're working, trying to get some work done. So we have some rollers on the front. So that way, if we do get it running in yard driving, we can at least drive it. Those are on the backs. I've still got to get off. They are like frozen on the hub. I've got them soaking right now. Might have to take the tractor and pull them loose. Who knows? We'll get to that when we get there. But as of right now, those are stuck. So just got the starter back on. We're going to bump it and see if it needs shimmed. And we're going to try to get this thing to pop over now. The original starter, the post was actually just like wiggly in there and it was not making full contact. So I'm hoping that's why it was not sending a signal up to the distributor. Either way, starter needed replaced. So that's the first place we'll start. Ignition switch also needed replacing. So those two things are replaced now. So we should have some power somewhere and get this thing spinning over. All right, so she is spinning over healthier now. We do not have to we don't have to make any adjustments on the starter. It sounds good. We're getting full power now. Before we were getting like intermittent power and then nothing at times, and it ended up being that post was loose like I mentioned. This battery's about dead, but we have it hooked to it. My truck, jumping it over, sounds healthy, but we're still not getting spark. I had some fuel down the carb. Obviously in that video, it was spinning, no fire. So now I'm leaning towards probably the distributor's toast. I'm gonna take it apart a little bit further and see if I see anything out of whack. We may just hop in and replace it with an HEI distributor and just move on. I don't know. The cap looks like it's been pretty old and it doesn't look great. So we may just move on. We may rebuild that. I don't know. That's probably the next step. I noticed the neutral safety switch is also hanging up a little bit. I had to kind of move the lever around a little bit to get it to start. So we'll either make that adjustment or we'll get another one and replace that. That's cheap, so no big deal. There's a few more things that could be, but and the voltage resistor is one of them. We're gonna probably test stuff, figure out where we're not getting power, but that's my next step, is just take some electrical time and diag it. I just threw those two parts in because it needed an ignition switch and then it also needed a starter. So had to have those anyway. I was hoping that was gonna be it. No big deal that it wasn't. Let's move on, try to get some electrical work figured out and figure out where it's not getting power. All right, so got a test light, key on. All right, so we are getting full power at the coil, which means we have power at the coil, which means it's probably going to be in that distributor, most likely. So let's take apart the distributor and figure out what is exactly going on with it and what we can do to maybe get it running as is, or if we need to change it out. And we are back working on the C10. We got spin, we have fire, we have power at the coil, but nothing coming out of distributor. So pop this off. It looks pretty rough, and distributors are cheap, so we're gonna replace it with an HEI and just be done with the coil and guesswork and all that stuff. Wire that up and be done with it. It should run pretty good then. So we're gonna get to work on swapping that distributor. It looks like somebody's tried to rebuild it at some point, but I don't know how long it's been sitting, so some of that stuff might be corroded. Looks like they did an okay job, but you know, I don't know until you start messing with the points and all that stuff. So rather than go through all that, we're gonna just replace it, keep this one, and see what failed on it later after we get it out. But that is the plan right now, is just to swap it, be done with it. For many reasons, but reliability is one of them. These coils, I don't know why, but I keep buying the same coil and they last like 6 months. So I don't trust that coil is any good. I mean, it looks good. It puts off the voltage when I test it, but I have had a few of them fail lately. So we're just going to get rid of a few things and clean this thing up as well. So that's where we're at. We will keep working on it. And for context, here is the new to me distributor. This came out of a This came out of a Circle Track Racers local guy. This came out of his crate motor that he got. He didn't use it. They switched to MSD stuff, so this thing's pretty much unused, maybe minus braking mileage, so should be good to go. And we're just gonna get, like I said, get it wired up and get it going. All right, old distributor is on the left and the new one is on the right. As you can see, there was oil in it, pretty well, in fact. There seems to be some new parts in here, but then the cap and some other stuff, it doesn't look great. So it may be that they were in the middle of fixing this car when it sat and didn't finish it. I'm not sure. I just know that this was a cheaper alternative, was to grab a pretty much new, barely used HEI and just be done with it, not buy a coil, not buy all the things to make it work. This will be a straight wire in pretty much. So we're going to get this put in. It's a little bit bigger, but on the C10s, if I remember, you do not have to, clearance the firewall or anything to get that to work. It'll be a little tighter, but obviously it will not need denting to make that work. So we're going to get this installed. Hopefully we don't have to do too much. We marked everything where everything was, so I'm going to put it back where it was, and then we'll verify timing once we get it popped over. That should be good enough. All right, as you can see, distributor's in. It is wired up for now. None of these wires are going to be as ugly as they are right now. We'll clean them up because I hate a mess. I hate all this whole mess of things. That's not what I would finalize it as, but for now we're gonna get it running, make sure it runs, and then we'll go and fix all the wiring. There's several things I'm not happy with, but for now we have some spare plug wires that'll work with this the HEI distributor, and then we wired in the tack through the fuse, or not the tack, I'm sorry. We wired in the battery positive into the unfused fuse box side where we need to connect the HEI. So we're going to pop this thing over and see if it'll run now. This battery is giving me some fits, so we're going to jump it off for now. Probably going to have to replace the battery at some point, and that's fine. It is what it is. Then we can work on cleaning all this up once we have it running. So that's my new plan, is get it running and then clean it up and start working on cleaning it up for what I want to use it for. I will still tell you all that here in a little while because I'm kind of finalizing everything on it. But yeah, stay tuned. Plenty of ether. Well, it is trying to pop over. As you can see, I'm adjusting the timing just a little bit. I've got it a little bit loose. It looks like I was off just a hair, which is fine. I didn't expect it to be flat on with the way I did it. I'm gonna give this a shot one more time. Okay, so it popped over there. I left it loose on purpose, and it looks like I was off just a hair, which is fine. I actually probably bumped it putting this vacuum line in that's right here. So we have fire. That's the longest it ran. I don't know what's in the fuel tank, so I've got that disconnected. That's my next move, is to try to get the fuel tank squared away, and then we're gonna put this hose is essentially collapsed right here. We're gonna see what this filter looks like, and also put a filter in right here, so we can try to minimize anything going into the carb. I don't think this carb's good, but we're going to see if it will be good. We're going to try first before we just go replacing it. All right, so we got it to sort of pop over. I'm guessing my timing's off, but I also don't know. There's several things about this carb I don't trust either, so I'm probably gonna get some gasoline and wait and not use starting fluid because I don't really care to use it. But we do know it popped over just briefly, so that's a good sign. Like I said, it could be my timing's off. Would not shock me. I did not time it. I just did the quick and dirty, and then I'm also relying on the fact that maybe nobody's had that distributor out and also didn't time it. So most likely I'll find TDC and we'll do it the proper way. And in the meantime, figure out what I'm gonna do with this carb. I think I might have a Holly laying around that we'll throw on it, but not confirmed yet. So we will, yeah, we're gonna see. All right, we have rigged up this just in case anything wants to go there. I have not checked the stuff in the tank yet, but that's just precautionary. Like I said, I don't think this carb's any good. I found some more gasoline laying around, so we're gonna throw a little bit down the drain and see what happens. That should be enough to get it fired over. All right. As you can tell, it just fired over. So the only thing we have left to get straightened out is the fuel system. We know she runs now, at least runs enough with that. I'll have finite the timing. I'm sure it's off just a hair, but I'll find out the timing, and we're going to continue on getting this fuel system cleaned up and figure out why I'm not getting any fuel. So that'll be next on the agenda, I guess, is to check the fuel pump and see what's going on with it. And then I'm sure all the rubber lines to the fuel tank and to the fuel pump are toast, so we'll probably replace those. But that's next on the list, and we'll get to it. All right, we are back on the 72 C10. It's another day. Finally stopped raining, so we can get out here and get some work done. This is not in my shop, so at the mercy of Mother Nature. We did put this in last time just to see what sediments came out. The goal today is to try to get the fuel system working under its own power and to get it running under its own power. We're going to probably swap the lines for the fuel tank coming out of the bottom of the tank. The rubber was super brittle right here, and then just looking at the fuel system lines right here, they're going to be super brittle. So we stopped by the store and grabbed a couple. We grabbed another fuel filter. We got some more clamps and some more rubber lines. The goal is, like I said, to try to get that running under its own power today. So we're going to see what we can do with the fuel tank and see if the fuel tank's going to be any good. And then after that, we'll either have to order a new fuel system, fuel tank, fuel sending unit, all that stuff, if that will not work. And then we're going to probably see about getting this Rochester rebuilt, but we'll see. I may just throw another carb on there and just be done with it. Gonna play that by ear still. I guess it is a good time to reveal to y'all probably what I'm going to do with this truck. I'm going to use this truck for, I'm going to rent it out actually for photographers, parades. Well, I'm going to drive it in parades. My goal is to make it nice enough that it looks kind of original, but with a few new parts. I'm trying to only use used swap meet parts or leftover parts from somebody else's build. Trying not to buy anything new. Certain things I will not be able to do that on. The seat recovering, that's not going to happen. It's going to have to be new fabric or something. Maybe I can find a used blue seat stitching from somebody, but my goal is to try to get everything used, swap meets, marketplace, wherever I can find it. I don't think that's going to happen on everything, but that's my goal. Certain things are just, it's not going to work, but that is my goal. We're going to get this thing running and driving, and then we'll focus on the interior and the brakes system so we can actually get this thing stopping. I've got plenty of room to go straight, but if it doesn't have brakes, then we'll get that shortened out. I ended up picking up 2 drilled and slotted rotors from a local guy, so we can swap to those. Those are good. These were rusted, as you saw in my previous video with the tires. So those will swap out. We'll get new brake pads. Obviously, gotta go buy used brake pads, so that will kind of break what I'm wanting to do. But again, this will be used. 8-foot bed is perfect for a Christmas parade or holiday parade or whatever have you. And then rent it out to pumpkin patches and Christmas, you know, photography, whatever. So that way it's making a little bit of money for me, and I'm also enjoying it too. So yes, I'm taking away from the wagon by doing this, but this is going to be a short-term fix, hopefully. And then we drive this and just enjoy it. It's not often that I run across a one owner with all the paperwork. I'm going to keep this car, so you know, we can just slowly do stuff to it over time. And that is my plan right now. There's a few more things that'll be involved with that, which I'll divulge later, but that is my plan right now, is to try to find everything used, new used on Marketplace, Craigslist, forums, groups, wherever I can come across stuff. That is my goal, is to spend basically a budget build with this truck. The wagon started out as a budget build, and quickly the budget went bye-bye, just because I got so involved in it. So gonna try to learn from my mistakes. Not that it was a mistake. I still love the wagon, and everything I did to it wouldn't change it. But that is my goal with this car, is just to not overspend on it and enjoy it. I don't want to get something to the point where I can't enjoy it or can't spend time on it and just park it wherever or drive it wherever and not have fun and worry about it. So that is the plan. We're going to get to work on this fuel system, see if we can't get this thing running today. All right, we are underneath the truck. As you can see, those lines are very rough and tough and not in the greatest of shape. This fuel pump may need fixing, but we're going to go ahead and replace the lines anyway. All right, as you can see, we have that hose off. I'm not sure if you can see in there great, but there's a bunch of jelly and nastiness stove up in there. We're going to see if we can clean it out and flush it out. I also looked under here, and I found more of those stupid dirt daubers nests, and no wonder it was so big. They were just in all over the place in this thing. So eventually we're going to have to go through and make sure we get all these out, but right now we're not focusing on that. I do have a drip coming from this, so that means it's blocked, but it's not fully blocked. So we're going to see if we can get that jelly and just nastiness out, and then we'll get this thing flushed. Try to get this thing running under its own power. Most likely this fuel pump's going to have to be replaced, but it is what it is. We'll try it first and see if we can get it going. All right. Yeah, clearly these hoses were toast. This one like ripped in half. That one was basically disintegrating. And as you can tell, we got the plug sort of stopped. We're going to flush it out. That's all rubber matter that's just been cooked. So we're going to get up in there and flush it out real quick, and then put the new hoses on and see what happens. Everything's flushed, new hoses. We're going to move on to the back tank side. As you can tell, this is all the nastiness that dripped out. So I'm not sure we can save this tank and pump, but we're going to try. This is the last piece of the puzzle, is these couple rubber lines that are don't look bad, but they're not great. So we're gonna go ahead and replace them. This is straight from the tank to the lines on the frame rail. So we're gonna go ahead and replace these while we're at it. And we have the rubber, and we're gonna see what drains out of this. We may try to flush the tank while these are loose. All right, those lines are in. Time to pull some fuel in it and see if we can get this thing to fire over on its own. All right, everything is new line-wise. We are hooked up. We got our jumper cables because this battery is toast. I fed a little fuel down the lines just to kind of lubricate things a little bit. We're about to see if we can crank it over. I'm gonna put a little fuel down the carb. We'll see if we can crank it over and get this thing running under its own power. We fixed that pinch in the line, gave us a little bit more depth. This filter's probably not gonna last long as much nastiness is in there, so we're gonna keep trying to run it. I see a few leaks around the car, but they're not bad enough for me to stop right now. So we're gonna try to get this thing running on its own power, as I've said. So we got fuel up there to the carb now, so we're gonna see if we can get this thing to run, spin over, and stay running. Okay, so I thought the float stuck because I saw fuel spray up once it popped and started running by itself. It ended up actually being, there's a crack in this line right here that I didn't see before. I just thought it was a little bend or a little nick. So we're gonna cut this line back and shorten this back and push the hose over it for now. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this carb because most likely we're gonna get rid of it. I am not a big Quadrajet fan. We might leave it, we might have it rebuilt, but for now, again, the goal is just to get it running. We have full fuel pressure now that that line is not bent like it was. That is some cherry flavored looking gasoline, but at least it's flushing it out. So we're getting some of the sediment out, and that's the goal. And we're going to try to run this carb as long as we can. All right, so the other day when I did this, I had too small a fuel line, but I was just trying to get that filter in, catch anything from going in the carb if in case it got fuel. I just switched it with a better filter and a little bit thicker lines to keep from this little nick up here. Like I said, we're probably not going to use this carb, so most likely this is temporary stuff just to keep junk out of it and get filtered out. So in the event we do keep it, we'll fix all this up properly, but for now this is what we're going with. So that should cover that little issue, and then we should get fuel to the carb now, so it might run on its own power. We'll see. We're getting fuel, it's mixed, it's a little bit of varnish, but a lot of new fuel too. So we should not have any issues running on its own power unless something's stuck. My next plan is to probably take this loose and take this filter loose and see what it looks like on the inside, and maybe try to get it cleaned up for now just to get it running. All right, so what we're doing now is we are filling the bowl and then running the car to try to get some of this stuff pumped out. As you can see, I've got a little bottle rigged up down here. This stuff coming out is just disgusting. It is dark, it is varnish. I'm gonna try a couple more tries of cranking it over and trying to get it all out. If it doesn't start clearing up, then I will probably take the tank out and fix it, or at least try to fix it. If not, then we're getting a new tank. And I think this carb is actually gonna be okay. It runs great once you get gasoline actually into it. So we'll see what happens. As you can see, that is just straight nastiness. Pretty much varnish. I added about 2 gallons in the tank. So this is just what will sit in the tank that's running through it. So I'm gonna try a couple more times to get this stuff to clear up a little bit, and then we're gonna probably replace the tank in the sitting unit. Good news is, waiting for the battery charge up a little bit, we got this door free finally. It is rusted along the door pretty bad. But the rocker appears to be okay. We'll know better once we get the seal out of the way and this strip out of the way. This strip is rusted. I'm hoping it's just this stainless strip. If that's the case, that'd be awesome. Then I would only have to do one rocker panel on the side. We are still working on the fuel system and trying to get it figured out. All right, here's a better view of the rockers over here. It looks like this corner and then this little edge right here are going to need repaired, but that's still better than the whole panel. So we're going to get this vacuumed up, and this gas tank is going to need replaced. I can't get the fuel any cleaner coming through it, so we're going to go ahead and replace it, and we'll save this tank. Maybe try to see if we can fix it for another project down the road, or get it away in this other truck over here that I have. I have another C10, by the way. It's yeah, it's pink and yellow. Anyway, I'll probably give that tank to that owner when they do buy it, whoever buys it. So we're gonna get this seat probably out and slid forward so we can access this fuel tank. I ordered a new one like 30 seconds ago, so it will probably be here after Thanksgiving, but we're gonna go ahead and prepare for it to be here so we can get this thing fired over. I think the carb is actually gonna be okay listening to it with fuel down the carb, but we'll find out for sure soon. All right, all vacuumed up. We're gonna have to neutralize what's remaining of the rust, and then fix that corner right there. And then we can go ahead and get this seat pushed forward so we can get this tank out and see what's going on with it. So we had the back seat removed. It actually looks pretty good up back here. Surface rust, obviously, but nothing structurally bad back here. We're gonna take this tank out, make sure there's nothing. The corner over there is gone. We're gonna have to redo it. Let me walk around and show you that. Ooh, about tripped. I only figured it out quickly because the screws started falling through. We're gonna have to stop for the day. I couldn't get the gasoline. Yeah, that's gasoline. I couldn't get the gasoline looking any better than that. As you can tell, that's dark nastiness. We started a few times. It cranks right over the fuel down the bowl. I think I got that issue squared away. We went ahead and ordered a tank and a sending unit, and then I got to taking this tank out, and I found these rust holes in the tank. So it's a good thing we didn't try too much more on this tank, but this is going to be toast. We ordered a new one. We ordered a new sending unit, and hopefully those are here. It's pretty much almost Thanksgiving, so we're at a stopping point. So I'll wait for those to come in. Did find a little pocket change when I got the seat out, so we're making some money back. Obviously I knew this was toast. This back looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and treat the rust that's there, and then before I put the tank back in, I'm gonna go ahead and sound deaden this back wall. It had like a sound deadening material in there anyway. I'm gonna go ahead and sound deaden the back wall while I'm at it. Before I put the tank in, one, to keep it from rattling, but also for the noise. Just a more comfortable ride is the plan. So right now I'm gonna leave the seat up. I will probably, since I had to remove the seat belts, they're kind of nasty, so I will probably rebuild those. I mean, replace those, because I don't want to replace the seat eventually and then have brand new seat belts. That just doesn't look good in my opinion. So you know, without new seat belts or one or the other. Obviously the steering wheel is going to get changed because that's fried. That won't do. So we're going to find something else for that. New dash pad. Basically all this stuff will be nice and ready to go. So we're going to continue working on it, but we are waiting on parts to come in. So we're going to have to give it a little time. That'll probably be the end. That'll probably round out this video. And we'll be able to get this panel off now and get this dent pulled out, and as well as that dent pulled out of there. Yeah, rockers look good except for that spot up there, and then the back of the cab looks good except for the corners have a little bit in it. So that will be all for today. We'll eventually get these back wheels off. I ran out of daylight today. I was planning on picking the back end up. Those trailing arms, it's just hard to get a hammer down in there. I may have to find a big sledgehammer and pop them off a little bit harder. They are stuck on that hub, so I sprayed them down. We'll see what we can do another day.